Hey, Mike.
Regardless of point differential tonight, you can at least secure home court with just a win. Is that, for the quarterfinal, obviously, is that add just some level of benefit, even thinking about the big picture of the season outside of the cup?
Yeah, I mean, our focus is on playing well against Dallas and beating Dallas.
LeBron mentioned something on the podcast that used to be on with him with Steve Nash about the 45-degree angle and kind of like if he's waiting on the weak side, right? And Luka especially has the ball, could be Austin. And just thinking historically in the NBA, there probably haven't been, I don't know how many players that have his skill set that can be in that spot. How much of that did you think about in the offseason, and have you kind of seen just how difficult that could be for defenses to handle just in your general half-court offense?
Specifically with LeBron?
Yeah, with LeBron being in that angle and being able to weak side cut and all the things that he does.
I mean, typically, say like our 77 action, we're pretty specific about who we want that first screener to be in terms of the defender. But there's a lot of times that, we want LeBron being that guy. If they're not in like a red ice where he's the pull behind guy, so then he becomes sort of the secondary decision maker. And he's also not just as a cutter or a stampede driver or a shooter, but his ability to get to follow action and get to the second side. And if it's AR over there, that's great. So, it's may not always look like it because early offense can be a little disheveled at times, but we're trying to move the pieces around, and obviously we're always cognizant of where LeBron, AR, and Luke are when we move pieces around.
JJ, one of the key elements to your coaching career getting off to a good start, if not the key element, was Anthony Davis's presence. He's going to be on the court tonight for the Mavericks. Rather than having him on your side, you're going to have to prepare to go against him. How does he impact the game, and how much of kind of your thought process going into tonight's matchup has been centered around what we can do to deal with him on both ends?
Yeah, just like any star level player, all NBA level player, he's getting the requisite level of attention in our scout and our game plan. That's no different than a lot of guys we play because he's simply that good of a player. I said this last year after the trade, but he does so much stuff well at both ends of the floor. There's just not a lot of players that are like him that have all of those skill sets, and was really just a pleasure to coach him, and very grateful, day after Thanksgiving, but very very grateful that I had buy-in from him, coming in day one. Never had a coach before, so it's one of those things like you're rooting for certain guys. This way as a teammate, there's certain teammates you have. There's always going to be certain guys I coach that you're going to root for them after they're not your teammate or they're not one of your players. Just not when they play against us. Not rooting for him tonight.
JJ, whenever we talk with DeAndre about his role on the team, one of the first things he usually mentions is anchoring the defense. How do you guys as a team evaluate how he's done with that as we approach the quarter mark of the season?
He's been good. He's been really good. I think our defense is better than whatever our defensive rating is. There's some positive things that we've done this year. There's also even 17 games in, when you have a couple outliers of games, it's not always going to be reflective and sort of do your overall defensive rating, but that typically evens out over a longer season. So I know that we're trending in the right way defensively, and DeAndre's, has been a big part of that.
When asked this morning, he mentioned like his rim protection numbers in terms of like opponents shooting worse compared to what they usually do, and even the switching. How are you guys telling him these numbers? He's seeking them out in terms of the, stats parts of it.
I'm sure certain players seek out their own numbers, but there are certain things that we mention to the players. Yeah. The screen assists are another one with him that we've talked about with him. So yeah.
Along those lines, JJ, you've talked a lot about kind of the past player and how that's helped you communicate with guys, right? Like you've done a lot of different roles in the NBA and stuff like that. But before you got to the NBA, like the offense was built around you at a place. If you're a player like DeAndre or a player like Rui, who we spoke to today, where at virtually every level, like the offense has been you, and then you're drafted high and expected to some degree for that to still be the case. Like how tough is it to reframe success, and is that, have you seen that with both of those guys, I guess, DeAndre in a short time, Rui in a longer time here?
Yeah, they both embraced. I mean, Rui for 2 years, with us, has really embraced what we've asked him to do, and DeAndre's been fantastic at that as well. I'm trying to think that maybe some teams have 3. So what's 3 of 15? That's 20%. So 80%. So more than 80% of the league is not going to have the offense run through them. So I think it's pretty standard in the NBA. Certainly, certain draft picks, depending on how high you go, that the expectations may be a little different. I think I'm on record. I did an interview going into my senior year during USA Basketball for the 21 and Under World Championships, and I said I'm not going to be a star in the NBA. So I knew right away. Like it wasn't. I didn't have expectations that the offense was going to run through me.
Hey JJ, why is AD the type of guy you want to root for?
Why is AD?
Like, what makes him the type of guy that you want to root for?
He's got a good soul. Got a good soul, good heart, good man.
JJ, just going back to Tuesday's game and seeing the production from Luka, AR, and LeBron, all of them had great numbers across the board. Is that an ideal game where they play within their natural flow, nothing really seemed like it was forced, comes out with a W? Is it, when you kind of look at these 3 players and their capabilities, would you call that an ideal game?
Yeah, it's a good reference point for how those guys can all 3 operate. Some with the ball in their hands, some without the ball in their hands, some with one of them off the court, some with 2 of them off the court. I talked about it after the game a little bit. I thought the patience of LeBron and AR when Luka had it going early and staying efficient within that in that first half, and then as the game opened up, them just sort of recognizing the moment for them to sort of go. And I'm not even. I mean, I know we did call a couple plays for him, but like it didn't feel like I was like, I gotta get Austin going, and I gotta call a play for Austin, or I gotta call a play. It just, the flow of it felt very good for all 3 of those guys.
Hey JJ, when you're looking at Austin's play earlier this season, what has he done to meet the moment of establishing chemistry with Luka without LeBron, and now that he's back, still maintaining his level of play?
After we had made the trade last year, I think a lot of guys were affected by it because of playing with AD for a few seasons and their relationship with AD. And Luka, was new here and certainly affected by the trade in a different way. I remember Austin and I having a few conversations, and one of the things I said to him, because he had just had one of his best stretches of his career, and I said, that's not going to change. Like you're establishing yourself of who you are going to be in this league. That's not going to change just because we brought in Luka, and of course his production then went up even higher with Luka and LeBron, to finish last season. So for him, he briefly said to me, as LeBron was getting ready to come back to the lineup, he's like, I remember what you said to me last year. It's not even on my radar. I know this is all going to be, it's all going to be good, and I'm going to be able to be myself.
We know Dallas enters the game 30th in offense, but they're 3rd in defense. What specifically makes them a good defensive team?
They've got size. They do a good job of protecting the paint, just in terms of their swarming. I think the defense for them gets them going offensively. So for us, we've got to take care of the basketball. We've got to make good paint decisions. be shot ready, and then we got to get back and set our defense. So, you know, we've got to also figure out where we're putting some of their defenders. That's part of the chess match with them, because they are so, you know, big in certain positions. So, but yeah, there's a lot of concerns, and certainly the transition for them has been at a really high volume, a really high efficiency, and they're top 3, I guess, in fast break points. Although, you know, we had 3 different stats today from my coaching staff, but I'm sure those got, you know, updated and sorted. I think they're number 2, but you know, our offensive decision making is a real key to this game for us, because we've got to make good decisions, take care of the ball, get good shots, and then set our defense. And certainly AD brings a different dynamic to their half-court offense, but you know, it's going to start with our offense tonight.
Hey JJ, Luka leads the league in first quarter scoring and field goals made. How much is that by design, and how much does it help kind of establishing his scoring early and before, you know, taking advantage when teams get a little bit more aggressive in their call screen coverage?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like my design, like Luka go try to get 20 in the first quarter. I think that's who he's been for most of his career. That's part of his calculus into winning a basketball game, is establishing himself early, so that then teams have to start making decisions on his ISOs and on his pick and rolls and on his post ups. He invites the two on the ball. He invites it, like he wants to play with 2 on the ball, so that then he can get everybody else going. So sometimes you don't have to have a 20-point first quarter, and teams will do it. And sometimes, you know, you need to establish yourself as a scorer. But I like the mindset to come out and get us going offensively.
Hey JJ, how do you evaluate Cooper Flag, and what sort of things pop out in his film?
How do I evaluate? I'm not a scout, and he's not on my team, so I don't.
What are those things that pop out in his film that you, his
Um,
defense has to?
I mean, I think the versatility probably is the biggest thing. I mean, I think, you know, long term he'll be a shooter, but and I know he's struggled with his 3-point shot, but just the ability to do a lot of different things, you know, contribute to their defense with his size and his shot blocking and his hands, but you know, within the half court, whether it's posting up, you know, like a lot of their guys right now, PJ, Najee, like, you know, getting in the paint on drives and scoring in the paint, and then, you know, again, maybe it's not reflected in the overall assist numbers now, but, you know, he's clearly a guy that's going to be a 7 to 9 assist guy at some point in his career, because he just has such a good feel for the game, and he's got the size to make all the right plays.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thanks.